Yeah, I'm Rich Kocher. I was originally in Thailand with the Air Force at Udorn, so snuck into Laos one time across the river to get some of the Lao beer, bring it back to Udorn. And after I got out of the Air Force, the recession was on, in 1974 we had a recession. People were lined up to get gas. You couldn't find a job. Got up one morning, saw the Peace Corps recruiters going to be in town, went down and signed up with Peace Corps. Told them I'd either go to Kenya or I would go to Thailand. Kenya was one because I'd been in Tanzania already before, and I enjoyed that. The only program they had going was teaching English in Thailand, so went to Thailand. 2 years later, we were getting out of Peace Corps. We were out processing at the Peace Corps office. There was a big note up on the board at the Peace Corps office saying, if you're interested in working with refugees, please call Lionel Rosenblatt. We'll call. We made $90 a month in Peace Corps. We got $600 a month working with refugees. We were able to save all of it for the most part. After that, we were 3 years doing that too. I covered, at that time, 76, 77, I was sort of the roamer for the office. Lionel would say, we need somebody to go up to Major Rim. We needed somebody to go to Cheng Kam, and see if they really want to go to the United States or not. So they'd send me up there because the U.S. consulate was not being very cooperative. As many of you who were there at the time knew, there was little or no support from the U.S. government for Indo-Chinese refugees. As was mentioned a little bit earlier, the government just wrote them off. Military left. That was it. So I went up there, and then a little bit later, boats started coming. So they would send me up and down the border. Wherever a boat would come in, I would go down and meet with the Thai Ministry of Interior, go to the boat, see who was on, if they had any relationship to the United States, etc. Did that for a couple of years, and then I switched to IOM. At that time, you all knew him as ICEM, the Intergovernmental Committee for European Migration. And you all have had experience with that. And so there's the bag. You all recognize the bag. That's the newer version, though. But so I ended up going to the Philippines, and I was in the Philippines for 5 years. We built a refugee processing center. I think we had one group of Hmong who did come there, but it was decided to do English language training, cultural orientation for the Hmong at Panatnicom. So it was done there, and the Vietnamese and Lolan Lao and the Cambodians all came to Morong. It housed up to 17,000 people. They'd be there for six months before they would continue on to the United States. It was a sad day when the refugee program came to an end because now you had to go to some difficult countries. If you're going to work with refugees, Bangkok is a great place to be. Thailand's a great place to be. Vietnam's a great place to be. Now suddenly I had to go to Somalia. And that was a little bit more difficult. I mean, you were in a house, you had 5 armed guards. You could not walk the 100 yards from the office to there. You had to have an armored vehicle with 2 armed guards just to go that 100 yards difference. And so I was there for a while. I ended up then to Cuba, once for Haitian refugees and then for the Cuban refugees who came out. So I was in Guantanamo for an extended period. Then I went to Bosnia for 2 years, right after the Dayton Peace Accord. They opened up Bosnia, and we started, basically that was bringing refugees who had fled Bosnia during the fight with the Serbs back to Bosnia. We had a return of talent program. And so then that was over, and basically I was pretty much in 1999, I retired, came back, then they asked me to go to Albania. So I went back to Albania for a year, working with Kosovo refugees. And there's a common denominator with anytime you work with refugees, there's a lot of similarities. And it's very, very important for people that do work with refugees to start understanding the similarities. Because one refugee group, in this particular, your group, you can help the refugees coming in now from Syria. There's a lot of similarities in the government. In 1976, there was no support for Indo-Chinese refugees to come to the United States. And people like Lionel Rosenblatt, McAllen Thompson, Jerry Daniels pushed it through and got permission to do it. And it was only until Jimmy Carter became president in What year was that? 77. Jimmy Carter said we owe a gratitude to Indochinese people who we worked with, we fought with, and by gosh, we're going to take $14,000 a month. And they set that up, and you're all here because of basically Jimmy Carter, Lionel Rosenblatt, and them. Thank you.